You are now listening to Serious Minds RNTV with your host, Professor Griff. The call-in number is 516-654-7688. That's 516-654-7688. This is Professor Griff, and this is Serious Minds RNTV. Serious Minds for Serious Minds. Seriously. The Serious Minds Brain Tonic was created to sharpen the mind by protecting cells and increasing neurotransmitters associated with learning and memory. This is the Serious Minds Brain Tonic. The Resurrection Formula. This male reproductive tonic elixir is the resurrection you've been looking for. It is a stimulating sexual tonic with mild androgen-like effects that is nourishing to the reproductive system. You can order them at www.professorgriff.me and www.seriousmindsinstitute.com. Just call 678-557-2919. Your health is your wealth. Peace. Greetings, family, greetings. This is Professor Griff, and this is Serious Minds RNTV. On a kind of gloomy kind of Thursday. Assalamu alaikum to the brothers and sisters out there. Peace, shalom, hotep, abarigani, free the land. What's good? What's popping? What it do? Whatever greeting you go by, I want to greet you. Wherever you are. All right. Whatever school of thought that you're from, I want to greet you. In peace. All right. Tonight we're going to be talking about giving thanks for our good country cousins. Those that are air-like, our indigenous people, as we celebrate this Indigenous Day for those individuals that have been residing in this part of the world for thousands of years before the Pilgrims came, before Columbus came, and they came before Columbus, as Dr. John Henry Clark and Dr. Ivan Van Sertima and a lot of the scholars that have came before us, and we've sat at the feet of these scholars who've told us. All right, so we're going to dive into this whole idea of Thanxz-Taking, the genocide of the Native American people. Shout out to Quan. What's good with you, Quan? What's good? All right. Shout out to Smile Pharmacy. All right, in the building. Thank you very much. And if you would like to purchase any of the brain tonics or the resurrection formula, you can do so by going to www.professorgriff.me. All right. We have an upcoming event that's coming up. Professor Griff, of course, Doc, and Mr. LP. We're doing, after the first 48 seconds, a Zoom call meeting on December 12th at 7 p.m. If you would like more information on that, just give me a call, 678-557-2919, and or go to www.professorgriff.me. All right? Okay. So if this is a day of mourning, then why are we mourning? All right. I want to put that first question on your mind before we dive into this particular subject. Shout out to our Serious Minds family on IG, YouTube, where you're supposed to be, right on over here with us, Facebook, Periscope, and I believe Twitter. I'm not sure. I'll check that in a minute. But in any event, I instructed people yesterday that if that if they were going to participate in listening in tonight, I just kind of let them know that it's no holds barred tonight. I'm just not going to be one of those kind of individuals where I'm just going to sit back and allow the genocide of our people to continue. All right. I'm not going to allow you tonight to put up silly ass quotes, saying silly things, just putting up stupid things like one-liners. No, send me full sentences, damn near full paragraphs. I want to know what you're talking about. I don't mind putting your ass in timeout. Yeah, I even said to myself I was going to get through this without cursing. Let me reel it back and sip some pear juice. All right. Let me approach the mic again and give everyone a decent greeting. Peace. I want to have this conversation, but I know we're on social media. And I know that we're still in the midst of a pandemic. All right. I know most people today ate a hearty meal, all right, and did not discuss the pilgrims at your dinner table. Or did you? Did you discuss the pilgrims? I know most people, our ancestors did not even come out of your mouth today. You did not mention our good brother, Dr. John Henry Clark, now ancestor. I don't believe you mentioned Dr. Yusuf bin Yakinen. I know you didn't mention Ivan Van Sertima, and I know doubly that you did not mention Ishaka Musa Barashanga. Don't tell me you did. You, Sandra Smalls, you probably have. A few of us probably have. But I said the vast majority of us did not. As you crammed cranberry sauce and stuffing and turkey leg down your throat, did you stop and make a plate for the ancestors? No. Did you give thanks to all of those that came before you that we could even have this conversation? So, of course, in the name of the Creator, but with the energy of our good brother, Dr. John Henry Clark, Ivan Van Sertima, all those brothers and sisters, Dr. Khalid Abdul Muhammad, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, Dr. Jeffries, Rosalind Jeffries, Kaba Kwabene, and all the others that have came before us and have told this story, all right, in reference to the Thanxz-Taking Day, all right? Okay. So I read a couple of memes today, which always kind of fascinate me, all right? It says, these holidays be exposing your conscious fake frauds. And it does. Go online, and you'll see a lot of the people that claim to be conscious, yeah, they're stuffing their face with, mashed potatoes, gravy, and some other stuff. Not one time did any of our ancestors or any of our Native American country cousins' names came out of their mouths. Not one tribe, not one warrior's name came out of their mouth. It says, feed a man corn, he eats for one day. Teach a man to grow corn, he'll kill you and steal and take your land. Dr. Francis Cress Welsing says forgiving whites for acts of racism is a mental illness on the part of black people. All right? Now, family, if you on here and you cannot tune your brain cells to post more than one line or two words, just stop putting stuff in the chat, all right? Give me some complete thoughts. All right? Okay. Thanksgiving is so goddamn disrespectful. It's a European celebration of killing innocent people and taking their land. You thinking anything other than that, it's treason. All right? So I don't feel sorry for the 18 people that I done cussed out today via text. Fuck y'all. You know not to send me no dumbass shit. So yeah, take that somewhere else. I'm not one of them dudes. I'm not gonna be pliant. I'm not gonna be like, well, we should all know we're not all gonna be doing shit. Nothing. Absolutely jack bone. Nothing. No. I'm not coming over to your side. All right. If I didn't fall for the trick and the machinations and the bribes and all the threats and all this other stuff from your open enemy and all the stuff that they done offered me and came my way with, fuck you and fuck them. Plain and simple. If I didn't fall for that shit, what makes you think I'm gonna fall for your dumb shit? No. No. Nope. Me. Fuck Thanksgiving. You. But that's the day I spend time with my family, as though you can't get with your family any other day. What's wrong with getting with your family any other day? Yeah, I'm gonna wait on that answer. Now, if you celebrate Thanksgiving, then go do your thing. Shit, ain't nobody asked you to come on here. One love, thank you very much. I done unsubscribed, blocked people's numbers, blocked their emails. Yeah, fuck out of here with that, man. No. Because for some strange reason, you think the same people that murdered our people and put our people in slavery, you think the same people that murdered the Native Americans and put disease blankets among them and enslaved them or attempted to enslave them, you think these same people will turn around and like you? No. It's not going to happen. So let's dive into this subject, Thanxz-Taking. All right? Thanxz-Taking. The genocide of the Native American people. First, I'm going to need you to do a little bit of studying so you can know and understand, prior to 1492, who occupied this land in America. All right? Prior to 1492, who occupied this land in America. All right? And then, when the murderous, treacherous, rapist Christopher Columbus came over and they did the damage that he did, all right, who did he meet when he came over? Not here, because Christopher Columbus never stepped foot in America. All right? And then, in order to study this particular history, why don't we dive into mental genocide? All right? Black people in European holidays. Shakamusa Barashango. Let me put it up for y'all so we don't get anything confused and twisted. I can't find a better one than that. So I guess I might just have to rock with that one. Hold on. I want you to see the book. Why? Because I don't want you to have any excuse. I watched Professor Griff program, and I didn't know he was talking. I couldn't even pronounce Shaka Musa, Musa. Yeah, okay, I got you. All right. Ishaka Musa Barashango. All right, African people and European holidays, a mental genocide. Get this book. All right. Then I need you to turn around and I need you to get book 2. All right. So you can learn something about yourself, so you can learn something about the notorious, treacherous, murderous, rapist, Christopher Columbus. All right. All right. Let me see if I can use the King's English for the rest of the program. I'm trying. Can y'all work with me? I'm trying. Just kind of bothered by it because I'm bothered because some of the same people that I thought had some sense and a degree of intelligence, I'm seeing them online, and I'm never fucking with these people again. I'm like, wow, brother so-and-so, Muhammad and X and Bay and Asur and Hotep and a couple of other ones. Wow. Wow. I said, wow. You giving excuses for this madness, for the death and the genocide of our people? No. Nah, absolutely not. We're not doing that today. Anyway, let's dive into this first clip and let's talk. Damn. Negroes, man. Damn.
Indigenous Peoples Day today, which celebrates Indigenous people and honors their communities and their culture. This year marks the first time a U.S. president has formally recognized the day. President Biden issued a proclamation on Friday observing today, October 11th, as a day to honor Native Americans and their contributions to American history. Joining me now is Matthew Fletcher, professor of law and the director of the Indigenous Law and Policy Center at Michigan State University.
All right, now let me pause right there. So now if they're bringing in professors and they're bringing in all of these other people, why is it that we cannot sit down with our good brothers, the Native Americans? All right, and discuss what is Indigenous Peoples Day, and what is this day of mourning that we should be recognizing today? And do we get an honorable mention at all? Okay. So,
when I think of Thanksgiving, what comes to mind is not thankfulness or a big turkey. What I think of is far more important and serious. Every year at the end of November, families all across the United States celebrate the Thanksgiving holiday. This occasion has evolved into a time of expressing gratitude and sharing a bountiful meal with family. Relatives have awkward conversations while a huge turkey is scarfed down around a table. When I was in grade school, my history books depicted the first Thanksgiving meal as a peaceful gathering between white European settlers and Native American people. But there is a lesser-known truth behind this narrative. This Thanksgiving origin story that I was taught in school was a revisionist and whitewashed version of what actually happened. Following the arrival of Christopher Columbus on the shores of America in 1492, a steady stream of white European families traveled across the Atlantic Ocean to settle in this new territory. At first, they were ill-equipped to handle the harsh realities of its wilderness and climate, but indigenous tribes fed them and taught them how to grow corn and other crops to live on the land. Then, everything took a turn for the worse. This is where the revisionist whitewashing in this story happens, because it was not a peaceful coexistence between Native American tribes and white colonial settlers. Empowered by their religious beliefs and a racist disdain for the indigenous tribes, white European settlers murdered and stole from the indigenous communities who had been thriving on this land for thousands of years and multiple generations. These colonial settlers destroyed indigenous cultures by eradicating them, and even sold captive tribal members off to slavery. This brutal and racist genocide continued throughout the expansion of the United States westward to the Pacific Ocean. Five-term governor of Plymouth Colony, William Bradford, described Native Americans as savage people who are cruel, barbarous, and most treacherous. At every level, the settlers were intent on vilifying and disempowering indigenous people. Thanksgiving has been whitewashed as a symbol of kind gratitude expressed by the white European settlers toward Native tribes. This revisionist history only serves to silence the stories and voices of the millions of indigenous people who were slaughtered under a heartless and cruel colonialist agenda. Since 1970, the United American Indians of New England have carried out a national day of mourning during the U.S. Thanksgiving holiday. This is what they have to say about it. Thanksgiving Day is a reminder of the genocide of millions of Native people, the theft of Native lands, and the relentless assaults on Native culture. Participants in National Day of Mourning honor Native ancestors and the struggles of Native peoples to survive today. It is a day of remembrance and spiritual connection, as well as a protest of the racism and oppression which Native Americans continue to experience. As you enjoy your turkey over Thanksgiving, you have the power to acknowledge the impossibly sad and deeper truth behind the occasion. Talk about it and share this truth, or perhaps do not even celebrate the holiday at all. People often say that ignorance is bliss. I would take this a step further and say that ignorance is a complete lack of compassion. We need more compassion in the world. Compassion toward the indigenous survivors who continue to face this oppression. Within our hearts and minds, we need compassion that honors the lives and dignity of the millions of murdered indigenous people of America.
Okay, with that said, would black people constitute the indigenous people in America? Are we part of the indigenous people in America? That's the question I'm throwing out there. I'm just putting a question out there so you can think. All right. So now we're talking about hundreds of years of history now. All right. Then we're talking about thousands of years of history prior to that. All right. Let's dive into this next clip so we can put things in context.
It's just like Malcolm X said. We didn't land on Plymouth Rock. Plymouth Rock landed on us. Plymouth, to me, it's not America's hometown. Plymouth, to me, is nothing more than continuing the mythology. We don't see any reason to celebrate the arrival of the Pilgrims. What the heck did they do for us? Nothing. My name is Munanam James. I'm a member of the Aquina-Wampanoag tribe of Gay Head, co-leader of United American Indians of New England, and an organizer of the National Day of Mourning. The truth is that the first Thanksgiving was not in 1621. The first Thanksgiving was in 1637 because Governor Winthrop decided that he would give thanks for the safe return of the people who went to Mystic, Connecticut and participated into the massacre of the Pequot. That was the real first Thanksgiving. And we tend to look at it as like, hey, first Thanxz-Taking. Here it is, Plymouth Pebble. If anyone thinks that this is where the Pilgrims stepped ashore, like I said, they had unbelievably long legs. My father started National Day of Mourning in 1970 because he had been invited to address a big banquet of dignitaries and all this kind of thing, and they asked for a copy of his speech in advance, which he sent, and then within days they came back and said, you can't give this speech, it's too inflammatory. The Pilgrims and the Indians sat down to a beautiful dinner and lived happily ever after. The end. He was censored, plain and simple. It got out under the Moccasin Telegraph, and a few hundred indigenous native people came to Plymouth and they declared it a National Day of Mourning. And this year marks our 48th year of being on this hill. Really, and that's what this all means, the oppression, and the oppression has not ceased. It hasn't ceased. We continue to experience it. Every time I read that, and I do have to stop because that's hard. It's hard to read it. That's what Day of Mourning means. We stand here in our circle, we have a prayer, we have whatever, and then we speak.
Every inch of this land is Indian land. We are as strong as ever.
Our rates of suicide, our rates of alcoholism, poverty, all these kinds, nothing's really changed. But every year when we come here, we're trying to at least make people aware of things like that.
So are black people who are the original Native Americans to this land. All right. Some people say that we're not the same. We're not the same people. We don't have the same blood. All right. It just depends on where you are in your history, in your study of history, and your knowledge of history. All right. And we do have to understand that, and we do have to kind of respect that. All right. Hold on for a second. Let me pull this back. I got one more clip to show, I think. I'm seeing some people put up some information about the $5 Indian and
Happy Thanksgiving, America.
Hold on for a second. This one's rather touching because it was from young teenagers.
Happy Thanksgiving, America. I'm Donna, and I'm here with my friends to tell you the real history behind this holiday. Growing up, I knew that what they told you in school about Thanksgiving wasn't true. That's not the true story. The true story behind Thanksgiving was after every killing of a whole village, these European settlers celebrated it and they called it Thanksgiving. But it wasn't until Abraham Lincoln became president that it became an official holiday.
He ordered 38 Dakota men to be hung for war crimes
after the sacred holiday Christmas.
We take this time to remember our elders who lost their lives due to what really happened. Usually my mom makes a Native American dish for us and we pray.
Growing up, I would be kind of annoyed that they didn't know what actually happened on Thanksgiving and that they're actually celebrating the deaths of many people and many tribes that were lost.
Whether it's to give thanks or to be with your family, you should learn how the holiday was established in the first place.
I'm thankful for being born indigenous to this continent.
I'm thankful that I still have my culture.
I'm thankful that my elders kept our culture alive all these years.
I'm thankful to be indigenous, resilient, and alive.
I'm thankful for us all to be able to stand together, stand strong, and stand as one.
Happy Thanksgiving, America.
I love that. Thank you very much. Do you realize that the idea and the thought behind Thanksgiving, this first feast celebration, they didn't even eat turkey? And it wasn't even the real quote unquote first Thanksgiving dinner was not about giving thanks. The first Thanksgiving dinner was really about them being successful in slaughtering Native American tribes. And they were honoring those white settlers that went out and did such. All right. So when you start talking about giving thanks to the same people that oppressed you and enslaved you, and now turn around and make it a crime for you to discuss this and criminal race theory, is an actual crime. It's very critical to even process. All right. Now, all you super duper intelligent thinkers, yeah, y'all might want to go on somebody else's channel because y'all too goddamn smart for me. Y'all know too much. Y'all really do. Seriously, y'all do. Wow, 250 years later, Lincoln declared the first holiday, Thanksgiving. No one was giving thanks for all of these years. What happened in the interim, those 250 years? All right. What was life like before the Pilgrims came? How many tribes were there? How many nations were they here in America? All right. Did the Native American and the Black African and the Moor and all the other people that were here, did they coexist here in America? What did America look like? What was going on in America? Did Native Americans need to be saved from themselves, from white America? Or white Europeans, because they weren't Americans yet. All right? So as we kind of dive into this subject to get a deeper understanding of the particular subject in reference to who were these people that came over? If they were seeking to find a place to practice their particular religion, but they, Miss Crystal Swan, what's good with you? If they was escaping religious persecution, how did they end up in America persecuting someone else, committing genocide on the Native Americans? And then now you turn around because you want to lick some turkey's ass. You want to turn around now and you want to celebrate the murderers of the Native American people. Okay. So I'm trying to understand that. And most of y'all would rather talk about and use the spirit and the language of breaking up African, Black, and these kind of subjects rather than talk about and discuss what the title is, which is Thanxz-Taking, the genocide of the Native American. I'm seeing more comments about who we are not than who we are. Double B, thanks, man. Really appreciate you, good bro. No, I'm not on here to give a lecture. I'm on here to facilitate a conversation. All right? So let's facilitate the conversation. Cherokee Rose, peace. What's good with you? Unpacked with Chief Janice. Thank you very much. Thousands of tribes were here. Families were here in America. All melanated people. It just was not one people here. It wasn't only the Moors. It wasn't only this group. It wasn't only that group. We were already here in America. All right. Now, some Native Americans were kidnapped and brought back to England, to other parts of the world, and then brought back here. That didn't happen too many times. And then, of course, we know and understand what happened with the transatlantic slave trade and the other slave trades that were happening across the globe. A lot of people think it was only one slave trade. No, there was an Arab slave trade. All right, there was other slave trades. All right, and other slavery going on. All right. Thank you very much, Epic Eric. Jet black people populated this whole planet. So it's like when you hear people say, well, only this people were here in America and this is who we are. No, 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 no. 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 It wasn't only one people. It wasn't only the Moors. It wasn't only the Hebrew. It wasn't only this one and only that one. All right? We populated the entire planet. Millions of melanated people who you could use a different terminology. You could say indigenous people were here. Pink, what's up with you? Well, DJ J Nice, we can ask a lot of questions. How is it you can get millions of people to get a poke in the arm nowadays? So we ain't got to go back. We could talk about now. So let's understand what we're talking about and what we're celebrating when you sit down at the dinner table tonight, all right? And the pilgrims don't even come up. Your ancestors don't come up, all right? So we have to take into account and know the full range of our history. The full range of our history. Voodoo Glitch said, I just call all of the holidays indigenous. Well, no, not really. Can't do that. Because this whole lie that they made up about this Jesus character and what's about to hit you upside the head in December. Wow. Come back. Come back. As a conscious indigenous Afro-Latino, it is very disappointing to see my Latino brethren celebrate a holiday which brought genocide to the Native American people. Yes. David Woodard gave us this. Ivan Van Sertima, They Came Before Columbus. Great book on the Aboriginal people of Americas. Study, family. What's wrong with that? Study a little. You can study just a little. You don't even have to study a lot. Let me see. I'm just going to play a few minutes of a few clips. I hope you guys don't mind, all right? Okay, let's try that.
Maddox, Brother Mark, struggle going on to break the bonds of that worldview. And so now we must view things from what we are, and we are an African people. I know I don't have to explain that to anybody in here tonight. And that's how you see things. It's how you look at things from your experience. We have several premises I would like to discuss with you before we get into the historical elements of the topic tonight. The first premise is holidays are the institutionalized celebrations of the thoughts and ideas of a particular philosophical worldview. What does that mean in essence? Not that you really need an explanation of it, but I always have to explain sometimes even what I say to myself. The institutionalization of our own thoughts and ideas and our own creations. Part of the process of doing that and helping to keep those thoughts and ideas alive and nurturing us and motivating us in our everyday existence and our everyday struggle and fight for total mental, physical, and spiritual liberation from this beast here, from this hostile environment. As a part of that process, celebrations play a very definite role. Holidays are important to us. But in those holidays, if they do not reflect our life experience, if they do not reflect the positive aspects of our worldview, of how we see the world, of how we understand the things around us, then we have to ask the question, what good are those holidays to us? Should we be celebrating them or should we be celebrating something else? Let me stop here for a minute to discuss something that Dr. Cheikh Anta Diop set forth. And that is the idea, it has always been known to us who have been aware and thinking people and in the process of continued evolutionary path of enlightenment, that there was a quantitative and qualitative difference between the way that we as a people look at the world and the way Europeans look at the world. Brother Malcolm stated it so beautifully and straightforward. He said, when you sit down to the table with the white man to discuss an issue, to discuss an idea, you're not speaking the same language. It was difficult for some of the Negro leaders of that day to understand what he was talking about because they knew they were saying the same words. They were discussing the Constitution. They were discussing the Bill of Rights. They were discussing the Declaration of Independence and all those things. The white man was using the very same words that the black people were using. However, they were not speaking the same language, simply because they had a diametrically opposed worldview. Diop puts it in these words. It's the difference between xenophobia and xenophilia. And that is, the European has a fear of anything different, of other people and cultures that is different from him. And therefore, he must control them in some manner or eradicate them. Like the child who has never grown up. You stop running around here. Here's black men, big strapping Nubian looking black men that can snatch telephone poles up out the ground talking about, I got to go to work for the man. He's not the man. You the man. He never grew up. And why do I say that? How can I say that? I can say it because Jerusalem Slim, who you call Jesus Christ, we used to call him Brother Jerusalem Slim in the seminary, said that it is by the fruit of a tree that you know what that tree is. What he produces is what you know what that tree is. And the very fact that when people do not do what he wants them to do, he acts just like a little child, like the demon seed. Either you do it or I'll hurt you. Or I'll take my marbles and get out of the game. Most of the time, I wish he would just take his marbles and go on by his business. But he's not satisfied with doing that. He got to come back and try to control the game again. He's perfectly all right with me because I know left on our own, we really, when we have nothing else to do, but on our own, we can do it. And we'll do it fast. We won't drag it out then. But this xenophobia, this fear, is the motivating factor, as Dr. Francis Welsing tells us in the book, The ISIS Paper Keys to the Color, is the major motivating factor of white folks. Now, I'm going to come to the holidays, but I got to lay this groundwork here. I hope y'all be patient with me. One of the reasons is because I have to constantly be defending myself with black folks because I discuss the historical realities of the European. And I won't stop doing that. Black folks wouldn't even come out to see me a long time until I let some white folks come in. That's why I was so glad to get here. One of the few places in the world where I can go where I am totally in an African environment, and you don't want nothing else here but Africa. Now, African people, in their natural state of being, and most peoples of color, tend to have a xenophilic approach to life. That is a love of other people, an embracing of other cultures, a sharing of culture. So you have these two different things. So now, when you celebrate European holidays, whose major motivation is the fear of his genetic annihilation, his phobia of other human beings, what type of celebrations do he have? Those celebrations that are built around that worldview, which is essentially xenophobic. When you celebrate that, you are celebrating something opposed to your very nature, because you are by nature in your natural state. And I'm saying natural state now. A lot of us done got out of our natural state. We done grieved the Holy Ghost, as Jesus talked about. If you know what that means, those who understand, let them understand what has been said. And when you are in your natural state, your idea and purposes for a celebration is different. So I wanted to deal with that first premise. You still with me? You all right? The second premise, the celebration of holidays establishes and helps to maintain a strong emotional and cultural bond between you and that which you are celebrating. A strong emotional and cultural bond between you and that which you are celebrating. Anything that you jump up and down and sing about and dance about long enough becomes very much a part of your being, and you feel something for that because it brought you joy at the time that you were doing it. So you have an emotional and a cultural bond and connection with it. The question arises, when we celebrate European holidays, what are we binding ourselves to? It's another question on that third premise, on that second premise. The third and final premise here. Holidays are very common and natural to human beings, and you should have times to celebrate. I'm involved in the African liberation struggle until I am taken home to my ancestors, unless I should lose my mind. And when I do that, somebody please put me out of my misery. Because if Ishaka Musa is no longer involved in the liberation movement, then you know he has gone plumb crazy. And he needs to be taken and worked with, and to bring all the African-centered behavioral sciences to try to heal me and lock me up till I get straightened out. As long as I'm in my right mind, I'm committed to the African liberation struggle. However, I do not view it as a struggle. As said, it's the African liberation movement. Because many times when brothers and sisters get to talking about we involved in the struggle, they make it hard for themselves and anybody else who may be interested in it. It is a happy thing that we do, those who are participating in it. We chose that this is the road we would go rather than be manipulated and controlled by something or someone else. Now that's a happy choice. That's a choice that a lot of people don't even know they have. So now the fact that you made that choice, you must be a happy warrior. It must be a joyful task. You fight better when you're happy. Even when it comes to the point where you have to take an enemy's head off, do it with a smile. And by all means, when you talking to your brothers and sisters, always talk up. Always speak hope. Always speak joy. Always speak the fulfillment of the promise that has been given to our mothers and our fathers ever since the days that we were brought off the slave ships here. They knew from generation to generation that this day would come. So talk in them terms. I have it in my household. When I ask my children what happened, they have to respond on demand. Say, what's happening? Black folk on the rise. Don't tell me I don't know. Some stuff like that. And when they forget, I keep asking the question until I get the answer I want. They get tired of it, but at least it's a part of the right programming process, conditioning process. So it's natural for us to be happy and to celebrate. We started out by celebrating the harvest on our own land when we created the science of agriculture, the success of the hunt, the rituals and celebrations of the rites of passage. All these things are good reasons for celebration. For us, we have a lot to celebrate in that we were able to survive this beast all this time in this hostile environment and still come out with some degree of sanity. I said some degree because, as Dr. Ben says, we are all crazy to some extent, having been here and survived under these conditions, but we're still able to function. And also we celebrated so often victory over an enemy, but never in the history of the world have I ever heard of a people celebrating the victory of their enemies over them. Do you get my point here? They may remember that, but they will not celebrate it. The only people I know now presently in the world is the Negro and other people who are mentally subjugated by white supremacist culture around the world that celebrate their enemies' defeat of them. So when we study European holidays, we have to ask, whose victory are we celebrating? All right, I hope y'all don't get angry with me in here. I don't mean to be a killjoy, but I just have to deal with history, the story, our story, as it is. Now, I'm going to attempt to, and you'll have to let me know when my time is coming up, because Dr. Ben said, I ain't got time, watch. I had to move with the spirit. And in the spirit world, we don't know nothing about no time to get in there. But I know y'all got things to do and everything, so you have to let me know when I get there, all right? I'm just going on now. We're going to try to deal with 5 European holidays, some historical perspective on them. And that is, who discovered Columbus? Because he sure didn't discover me. The second one is Halloween, and I forgot what sister, who was the sister on the radio program, Dr. Felder, with us that day at WLIB, that came up with that, the Night of the Living Dead. Misgiving, a celebration of horrors. Xmas, the merry mess. And even if I don't get to some of the others, I'm going to talk about America's Independence Day, the 4th of July. I'm going to get to that one if I don't get to nothing. So y'all pray for me now. Y'all send out good vibrations so I can,
All right, if you're wondering who this is Shaka Musa Barashango, all right? African people in European holiday and mental genocide. Ishaka Musa Barashango, African people and mental genocide, European holidays and mental genocide. Why are we supporting European holidays? You can go on YouTube and you can find them and you can listen to the entire 2-hour lecture. And there's other lectures by Ishaka Musa Barashango. But this is the one you have to listen to because it talks about Thanksgiving and it gives you the entire history, all right, of Thanksgiving. All right, with support material that you can go and find out other information for yourself. He dives into the work of Dr. John Henry Clark. He dives into the work of Ivan Van Sertima and other scholars. All right. Okay. Ishaka Musa Barashango. Ishaka Musa is I-S-H-A-K-A-M-U-S-A. Isha, or really Isa, which y'all say is Jesus. Shaka, which y'all know the warrior Shaka Zulu. And Musa, which you say is Moses. Ishaka Musa Barashango, B-A-R-A-S-H-A-N-G-O. Ishaka Musa Barashango. Or you have to put it in the search engine as African people in European holidays or mental genocide. It'll come up. All right. question as I depart, is the murder still continuing? Is the murder of black people, black African people, as y'all put it, indigenous people, Moors, Hebrews, all the other 52 names y'all go by, or we go by, is the murder still happening? When they hunted down Ahmaud Arbery, I didn't know whether or not he was a Hebrew, Moor, whatever. They didn't know either. They just knew that he was black. Am I right or wrong? They didn't ask to see a card, some ID, a tattoo. No, they didn't care. Arthur Phoenix says the onslaught continues. The onslaught continues. Right now, family, when you look at the actions of these people, these are the same people that murdered our people 500 years ago, 1,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago. Why does this person keep sending me this saying, you know I'm not talking about all of them. Listen, a lot of them don't even have this knowledge of what their own people have done, because their own people have lied to them and put lies in this revisionist history inside the history book. So the younger whites probably don't know. Some of them do know. That's why when we get on here, we have to teach, but we're not only teaching our own people, we teaching them also. What makes you think that they know? They've been lied to too, or also. So stop sending me that message. Are you talking about all white people? And then why is that a concern of yours? Ishakabusa Barashango was absolutely correct. It is amazing how we have survived this thing and we're still here. Some of y'all talk about black people so bad. I think y'all do that out of ignorance because you don't know what happened to our people. If only you knew what happened to our people, you probably wouldn't use the language that you use in reference to our people. Thanksgiving canceled. Liberals who say America's holiday promotes genocide and white supremacy. What do y'all think about that? I didn't say that. Andrew Miller from Fox News said that. No thanks to Thanksgiving. This holiday hides a dark history of the slaughter of the native people and the history of exploitation that includes enslaved Africans, mocking the poor, getting you to buy things you don't need. Why is this the time to dump this is the time to dump the celebration and keep your cash in your pocket? Rebrand it, call it something else. If this is a day of mourning and you don't understand why it's called a day of mourning, then study your history. Study the Trail of Tears. Study a history of the map of all the native tribes that were in America and find out who they are. You're right, D. Marcellus 83. We survived because we are the answers to our ancestors' prayers. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So I just get kind of extra passionate about this. I think that's one of the reasons why they put that critical race theory and made it against the law, because there was fiery brothers coming up when I came up on college campuses, off college campuses, in the street. And then with the advent of the internet and we got on here, they start blocking channels quick, man. Anyways, Professor Griff, I love y'all to life. I got to get ready to get out of here. Family, if you're going to get together and you're going to eat, you're going to do with any kind of celebration, at least at the dinner table, bring up some of your ancestors' names and their body of work. And let's keep our indigenous brothers and sisters whose blood runs through our veins. Let's keep the day of mourning alive on this particular day. All right? And let's not celebrate the slaughter of the Native American people, the genocide of Native American people. All right? Let's discuss who we are and what we need to do moving forward. All right? In the words of my granddaughter, Sage Lotus, I will not be defeated. Peace. The Serious Minds Brain Tonic was created to sharpen the mind by protecting cells and increasing neurotransmitters associated with learning and memory. This is the Serious Minds Brain Tonic. The Resurrection Formula. This male reproductive tonic elixir is the resurrection you've been looking for. It is a stimulating sexual tonic with mild androgen-like effects that is nourishing to the reproductive system. You can order them at www.professorgriff.me and www.seriousmindsinstitute.com. Just call 678-557-2919. Your health is your wealth. Peace.